All right, yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really insane story. So today's story is honestly something that happened to me back when I was in grade 10. It was one of the most insane moments of my life, and I'm not gonna lie, it'll forever be memorable. And it all starts off when I was walking to my most hated class, math class. Now, I personally hate math class. Math class is the most annoying and boring and, well, suckiest thing in the planet. But knowing I had to do it, I remember one time I was going to my math class a bit early before school because I got in trouble for not passing my last test, and I needed to retake it. And I wanted to do it before school because after school was the only time I had to go spend time with the ladies. Because, you know, to do the devil's tango. So I remember I ended up going to my class early. And when I entered into the classroom, I remember seeing my teacher that was actually very attractive. And luckily, one of the only reasons why I actually smiled going into math class. If you guys don't know, in grade 10, I had actually the hottest math teacher ever. Like, for the grade 10s, only a certain amount of people were able to get this math teacher. And luckily, I got put into her class, which was honestly amazing. And I remember every time I'd go into class, it was a sensation. I would stare at her cherries, stare at her amazing peach when she would write on the board. And when she sat down, that's where disaster began and I started looking at numbers. But that's not the point of the story. Going on, I remember when I went in early for this test I had to do, I was basically kind of stressed out. But before I entered into the classroom, out of nowhere, this guy ended up walking out. It was some weird guy with a camera and he looked really sketchy. I didn't know who he was, so I remember I looked at him like, "Are you a student here?" He looked at me, he's like, "Oh no, sorry, I just work on a side gig with your teacher. Sorry, I gotta go." And he ended up leaving. I didn't know who he was, but honestly, he was really sneaky and really awkward. But I remember I went inside the classroom and my teacher was buttoning up her shirt and I ended up walking up to her just doing the whole test. Now, reminder, the guy that left earlier was a guy with a camera. So I obviously did have to ask her, "Hey, teach, who was that guy out there?" Like, he just kind of went out kind of awkwardly. The teacher looks at me and says, "Oh, like, just don't worry about him. He's just a guy I work with for a little side project I'm working on for the school." Okay. And I ended up going to sit down and doing my test. Now, I found it really weird how she kind of hesitated when she was saying the word school, but I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, I never really questioned my teachers because school sucks in general, so why would I? Going on with the story, I remember after that school day, I ended up going home and I was playing Xbox with the boys. Me and the boys would always hop on Xbox, playing video games and doing the same old. And also, the girl that I was supposed to go do the devil's tango with canceled on me. Yeah, sucks. But going on, I remember when me and the boys were playing Search and Destroy on Call of Duty, my buddy ends up saying over the Xbox mic, "Yo, Bubba, you know you're really hot like math teacher?" Yeah, what about her? Dude, her first name is... Did you know that? Like, literally, look at her name in the yearbook. I remember I ended up going to my bookshelf and ended up pulling out the yearbook that was given to me last year, and I ended up seeing her first name. Her first name was a very similar name compared to everyone else, and at first I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool," and basically went back to playing Call of Duty. But then afterwards, my other buddy that was also in the Xbox party ended up getting his yearbook and said, "Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro, her cherries look a lot bigger. Like, holy cow, dude." I remember I was like, "Wait, what?" And I ended up going back to the yearbook, pulling it off the bookshelf, opening it to her page, and I looked closely. Her cherries looked like they grew 20 sizes bigger than usual. Now, at this point, I was shocked. I'm like, okay, that's very weird. And me and the boys laughed about it all night, and then when I was going to bed, well, that's when I got into deep thought. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have this thing called bedtime thoughts. Basically, it's like shower thoughts, except you get your best ideas in bed. Probably that's why I never sleep and end up staying up all night thinking about what videos I want to do. But I remember when I was laying down in bed, I had the shower thought. I had the thought to search up my teacher's name since I had her full name fully and figure out who she actually was. Because there's no way a teacher is just a teacher. And at this point in time, I think every human being has like an online presence. No matter who you are or what you are on social media. It's just common sense. Unless you're like an old grandma that never had a cell phone, then maybe you're not on there. But still, most people in this day and age have a social media presence. So I remember I ended up searching her full name on Google. Basically, Google was like the go-to thing. I don't use the Yahoo, Bing, DuckGo. I don't use any of those because I'm not a loser. But going on, I searched her name up on Google, and when I searched it up, I ended up finding a link. I remember the link was like www.onlyfans.com/her first name and her last name. At this point, I was like, dude, there is no way. I got so excited. Like, you guys have actually no idea. It's like searching up on the Devil's Hub your favorite star and instant like levitation. So I remember I ended up clicking on the link, and when I did, I ended up seeing a photo of my teacher in our classroom with her top off as like the cover image. I was so in shock, and I remember her OnlyFans only cost like $5, and that was my lunch money for tomorrow. So I was like, you know what? I might as well. So I ended up paying for it, which is the only time I would ever pay for an OnlyFans, by the way. I'm just gonna mention that now. And when I did, I ended up seeing everything. And by everything, I mean my teacher on desks, my teacher on the whiteboard. I even saw my teacher literally bend over to the window. Yeah, I saw a lot of my teacher that day, and in the way that I would actually like to see her every day. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember my pants levitated, and obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I ended up doing my my thing. YouTube, don't demonetize me, but I beat the eggplant. Okay, let's just put it that way. A little bit of a TMI, but it's whatever. Now, obviously, after I did that whole thing, most people would be like, you know, texting their friends about it and showing it off. But the one thing I got worried about is that I didn't want her not being my math teacher anymore. I was worried that if I like screenshotted it and sent it to my friends and showed it off, that I found our teacher absolutely wearing nothing on the internet, she might lose her job, her career, and basically everything. One thing you guys gotta understand is that in high school, word goes around faster than ever. Girls talk, and boys, they only talk when it's a real meme. So knowing this, I basically did not say anything. I kept it quiet. I didn't want to say anything. And I remember the next day when I went to school, I had to go to my math class early because the teacher wanted to give me the results I did from yesterday morning. I remember I ended up going in there. When I walked in there, I stood in front of my teacher's desk and I couldn't look at her the same. Every time I looked at her, I literally just saw all those photos basically on the internet. I couldn't think of her as like my teacher anymore like I used to. And every time I look at her, well, I'd just be looking at her cherries and just kind of smiling. And I won't lie, yes, my pants did levitate in front of my teacher, okay? It was really awkward. I remember she looked at me and I looked at her, and basically we both looked at each other. She was really weirded out by me, and basically she was like, Baba, is everything okay? Like, you seem really off, as she's marking my test. I look at her and I'm like, so that camera guy yesterday, he's not really a side gig, is he? She ended up looking at me with one eye and she's like, wait, what? And I remember I looked at her with a smile. At that point, I knew she knew that I knew. Wait, that made no sense. I knew that she knew what I knew. Maybe that made more sense. Basically, she knew that I found out about her online internet thingy. And basically, I won't lie to you guys, she was panicking in the inside. I could tell because every time I looked at her, she was kind of shaking as she was marking my test. And I definitely did fail that test, by the way, but no matter what, she ended up taking the test, putting it in the drawer, and told me that I got an A. I was really shocked. I'm like, wait, I got an A? Like, I passed? She looked at me and she's like, yep, you passed. Good job. Can we have a different conversation? And she makes me sit down beside her. I sat down beside her and she's like, listen, Bubba, I think you know what I know, and I'm gonna be honest, we need to keep it between each other. I like working at this school. I really enjoy here, and I don't want this to ruin our school relationship. I'm not gonna lie, the whole time when she said that, I was just looking at her cherries, bro. Like, I could not think of her the same. So I remember I told her, okay, you know what? Like, I'm fine with that. I really don't mind. I won't say anything at all. I told her that because, well, that was my original plan. I wasn't gonna tell anyone anyway because I didn't want her not being my teacher anymore. So I remember when the bell rang from math class, a bunch of students ended up walking in. And when a bunch of students ended up walking in, I basically like went and sat down at my desk. When I sat down at my desk, basically, I remember this was the funniest thing. And I'm not gonna lie, this was not good at all. I ended up going on my phone to use it for a calculator because I remember she was giving the lesson. And I had a friend whose desk was literally right behind mine. And when I opened my phone, the first thing it went to was her moaning in a video that I was watching her from. And oh my goodness, dude, my friend ended up looking at my phone and legit saw the teacher literally doing her devil's tango in the classroom on my phone as she was literally right in front of us actually teaching us a lesson. My friend in the backseat ended up freaking out saying, no way, is that her OnlyFans? Dude, what? Wait, ma'am, you have an OnlyFans? Oh no, I was so doomed. I was doomed. I was so sad and so upset at myself. And my teacher looked at me with major anger in her eyes. Like, I've never seen anyone so mad at me. It was so bad. Honestly, all I'm gonna say is that, you know, watch out what you watch on your phone, and searching up your teachers sometimes maybe not a bad idea. It really depends on what results you want to get. All right, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also follow me on Instagram. Like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.